guys, guess what? Today we have our very first Florida detail, and I'm so stoked. For those of you who are just catching up, welcome. I'm Jess. I started a mobile detailing business in May of this year, 2023, with absolutely zero experience, knew nothing about detailing. So I've been here just documenting my journey every step of the way and sharing with you guys all the lessons I learned, experiences I've experienced, and just the whole journey of this detailing business. I did a 6-month recap on my first 6 months in business back in Connecticut, but I am starting completely over from scratch with absolutely zero contacts down here in Florida for the winter. So I've been documenting this entire journey for you guys kind of as I'm going through it, growing through it, learning, building a brand new clientele with literally zero contacts. I'm about to go get changed up and I am heading to my very first detail here in Florida. I'm living in a campground. The awesome thing about a campground is that you immediately have a community. I do my best to get into all the communal places as much as possible, whether it's the gym, the pool, the hot tub, and I just talk to people. I ended up talking to this guy at the pool the other day, and I made a comment because I'm always trying to bring up the fact that I am a detailer. Just to put it out there. I don't need to talk about myself, but you just gotta put it out there. So we got to talking. His Cadillac needed a detail. It had been a bit, and he ended up booking a detail with me. Just that conversation, bringing it up, making it known that you're here, you're excited, you detail, you love to work, makes a huge impact. So I'm heading over to Fred's now. We're going to get that detail done, and I'm just going to take you guys through the entire detail process of the interior. We're just doing an interior today. You guys seem to love to see how I do the interior process and the step-by-step of how I do it all. So let's get to getting. The very first thing I do when I arrive at a detail is I look over the vehicle and I take video footage. Now, initially looking at this vehicle, I'm like, it's not really all that dirty. It's very well kept up, but it does have quite a bit of dust. I am also noticing that the owner of the vehicle is a smoker. So we've got quite a bit of dust and some ashes and a little bit of tobacco in the vehicle that's going to be loose and floating around, and that's pretty much our biggest challenge here. Then I want to organize all the personal items that are left in the glove box and any of the compartments. A lot of times in the cup holders, there's got to be a lot of loose change or small loose items, and I put those in a big Ziploc bag, and I leave that bag in the exact compartment I found everything in. So you can request that a client have their vehicle cleaned out ahead of time, and I always do, but let's be real. People don't always. I'm going to start off in this vehicle with doing some air compression. Now, I would typically, if I had all the space in the world, I would be doing air compression and vacuuming all at the same time. But this is his beloved Cadillac, and I don't have the space to be bringing in my vacuum and my air compressor all at the same time with, not scratching up the vehicle at all. So I'm just going to first air compress, and then I'm going to go through and vacuum, and I'll probably have to do a vacuum a second time as well. So like I said, there is a lot of dust. I'm sorry, I don't have a mask on. I typically would. I'm holding my breath instead, working on my lung capacity. So there's a lot of dust flying around, a lot of ashes from cigarettes, and there's some loose tobacco in a lot of the side panels and the center consoles. So I'm just going through and I'm blowing everything from the top to the bottom down onto the floors. All right, guys, so we're going to blast through and just vacuum out all of the crevices. I love this because it gets down deep under the seats, the sides of the seats. I'm getting down in there, blowing everything out to a reachable area so that when I come through with the shop vac, it's super easy and on a flat surface to just vacuum everything out real quick. I'm going to blast everything out of the doors. Like I said, there's a ton of loose tobacco and ash kind of coming out of here, getting along the sides of the seats. While this is a super clean car, there's still a lot of loose dust that we're going to be battling this entire detail. So we're just getting all that loose stuff out of the center consoles, off the dash, off the vents in the windshield, and then I'm also doing under the foot pedals and cleaning those out really good. So when I come through with the shop vac, it's going to be super easy getting inside the glove box as well. Now, a lot of times in my details, I'm getting everything set up beforehand, so I'm just ready to go. But I'm currently in a situation where I don't have the space to kind of have everything out and spread out. And so I try to keep things neat and cleaned up as much as possible until I need them, which is why I'm now just getting my shop vac set up. Now, I'm working in a really tight space in this carport, so I have got to be so cautious to mind my hose, because this hose can easily scratch the paint on a vehicle. So I have a lot of dust still flying around, landing on the seats even after air compressing, and still going through with the vacuum. I'm still going to have a lot of leftover dust, which I know. So I'm going to go through real quick, vacuum everything up as best as possible. The lighting in here is absolutely terrible. It's so hard for me to see. A lot of times I'd love to wear a headlamp on my head so I can see a lot more clearly, because the sun can really mess with your eyes, especially with all the shadows. But I'm just going to go through, vacuum really well. I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to leave my shop vac out and ready because I'm going to use it again at the very end of my detail when I do my final vacuum. That final vacuum takes maybe 60 seconds. Now, as I move on to the back here, I'm also going to pull those back seats down and fold them forward because a lot is falling in between those crevices and in between the seats where they fold down. And there's also a lot of loose ash and cigarette dust that's kind of gotten trapped in there. So I'm cleaning those out really well as well. True story, I typically pull everything out of the trunk, but I'm just leaving everything in the trunk because of the circumstance and the space that I have where I'm at. So I'm just kind of moving things around and doing a good detail vacuum of the trunk here. All right, now that we got everything air compressed out and vacuumed out, I'm going through and I am scrub-a-dub-a-dubbing down all those hard interior surfaces with my Ninja scrubber and P&S Express interior cleaner. I spray the cleaner right onto the scrubber, and then I use a microfiber towel to wipe away the excess. I love this because I only have to use one scrub and mitt the entire detail, and typically just one interior rag, so it saves me so much when it comes to the laundry. I get in every detail, every crevice. I pull out those door handles, I clean in between. If necessary, I will scrub the buttons. The one thing with this product is that whatever it touches, it is cleaning. And so my lighting is not the best here, and I'm having a really hard time seeing a lot of details. So I'm making sure to go through and like extra scrub every surface, because if that product touches one surface and not another, you will see it most often. But this vehicle does also have a lot of embedded dust sitting on it, so I want to make sure I'm really agitating and scrubbing those surfaces to really, really clean. Like I say, when I do my details, I'm legit deep cleaning, regardless of how clean or dirty a vehicle appears. We are scrubbing this thing good. Now that I finished off that door, I'm going to go down the side of the vehicle here and make sure I get that panel nice and clean, and where the seatbelt connects, I'm going to get that good and clean as well. Then I'm going to do the back of the driver's seat to make sure I don't miss that. Then I'm going to move on to the back of the back seats, and I'm going to pull up those headrests because look at all that dust that's trapped in there. Once I finish the seats on that one side, I'm moving on to the doors and the seats on the next side. Again, pulling those seats down because a lot of the cigarette ash is getting trapped in there. And then we're going to move on to the detail cleaning of the front. A lot of these luxury cars have the felt interior, so I'm taking a toothbrush. You can also take like a pet hairbrush and just kind of grab and remove a lot of that lint that's kind of stuck there. Again, the lint, the ash, the dust, it's kind of all getting trapped in there. It looks like garbage, so I'm cleaning that up real good and just getting it loose so I can blast it out after. Now I'm going to work my way from the center console out to the driver's side, and I'm going to start with just wiping down all of the major larger hard surfaces, and then I'm going to go into the more detailed cleaning of like the cup holders and the little storage areas and the buttons and all of that. I like to start with the driver's side when I make my way into the front first, because this is when my energy is still running high. So there are a lot more buttons and details to clean in the driver's side, and the person that's hiring you to detail this vehicle is most likely the driver. So you can bet your buns that I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna do the driver's side when I have the most energy and the most attention to detail. Now I'm moving on to my favorite part of the detail, and that is when I pull my toothbrush out and I get all that nitty gritty, like all those little cracks and crevices and the buttons. I'm going to make sure I'm cleaning them super, super good, and I'm giving them a good scrubbing because a lot of stuff gets caught in those crevices, and this is the best thing that gets them out. And what I love to do is I spray a little bit of interior cleaner onto my toothbrush. I then dab that toothbrush off and all of like the excess liquid onto my microfiber towel. And then I go through and I clean, and I'm not spraying anything heavily. There's not a lot of liquid going into any of these buttons. It's just the bare minimum amount, just enough to get some agitation. Then I go through, I wipe everything down with the microfiber towel, and then I take my air compressor and I blow out anything that might still be there lingering. As I make my way onto the cup holders, I do the same thing, but I spray a little bit of product into the cup holder, and then I spray my interior brush, my detailing brush, and then I start to clean. So I'm just gonna clean, scrub every crevice, every bit of that cup holder. Then I'm gonna wipe it out as best as possible with the microfiber towel, not taking too much time up. Then I'll just go through, I'm gonna cover the cup holder with the towel and spray out with the Tornador. Then I'm going to take my super soft bristled toothbrush and I'm going to go through and start cleaning all of the vents. I love using the toothbrush for the vents because of the fact that the bristles can bend, it can move, and it can fit into those tight spaces. And I haven't found anything else that cleans the vents nearly as well as the toothbrush. If you got other suggestions, let me know, but this to date has been my favorite way of cleaning the air vents. And then I just take the Tornador and I just kind of blow off any excess that might be there. Now, of course, there are other systems to get these things clean and maybe in a faster, timely manner. One of those is the Tornador Max, but again, I can't use that with my current air compression system, so it just doesn't work for me. The other thing is steam. Now, a steam cleaner is going to do the job as well, but again, I'm not using steam in this detail. I do use it often, but I don't need it in this detail, and it just takes too much time. It's too much work to set up, so I'm not using it. So now I'm making my way out towards the driver's side door bit by bit. So I'm working on the steering wheel, just kind of going through and scrubbing every crevice there with the toothbrush and also the Ninja mitt scrubber thingamabobber. There's a lot of dust that collects, so I love taking a soft bristled paintbrush and really getting in there to clean up a lot of loose dirt. This is one of the details that I pay super close attention to, and that is the door handle. When you open that door handle, look at everything that's stuck and sitting in there. Lots of cigarette ash and dust and dirt. So I'm going to make sure I go through with my toothbrush, spray on some Express interior cleaner, and scrub that out real good. Now that all the hard surfaces are clean, all the buttons, all the detailed cleaning, I'm going to lastly do the seats and scrub those down with the PNS Express Interior Cleaner and the Scrub Ninja. Essentially, I'm working my way from the top to the bottom, so then I'm working my way down to any of the hard surfaces that are around like the legs and the feet, and I'm going to scrub up those foot pedals real good as well with my nail brush. This is one of my favorite tools to get into those crevices on things like floor mats and foot pedals. This was an insert that went into the center console that was removable, so I took that out and I sprayed that down kind of heavily with the Express Interior because it was so dirty and so dusty. A lot of times if these are removable and they're really dirty, I'll just pressure wash them when I go to do any floor mats, but that wasn't really necessary for this, so I just wanted to make sure I sprayed it down, used the detail brush, and then just air compressed it out, and it came out perfect. Now, the material on this Cadillac seats are like the perforated heated seats. So they have those little holes in them that get everything caught in them. It just doesn't look pretty. So I take my little metal dental pick and I go through and I just kind of push them through and clean the seats up. I have this pick linked in my description. It's one of my favorite tools that I use in every single detail. It also helps sometimes in like leather seats, like BMW's leather seats where they have that really thick stitching. It helps to get a lot of the sand that gets trapped in there out. I did the entire driver's side, so now I'm making my way over to the passenger side and doing the same exact process here. While I was cleaning on this side, I noticed there's a ton of dust. You see it trapped kind of in the hinge of where that center console opens. So I'm just going to take my paintbrush and get some of that out of there. Now, detailing is such a trial and error and learning process. Like, I don't really believe there's any right way or any wrong way so long as you're not doing any harm to the vehicles that you're detailing and you're getting the client the results that they want. But for me, doing a lot of research to learn the right products, right chemicals, what to use, and then doing a trial and error process of what works for me while also sharing everything I do on social media here, it's helped me learn so much because so many great detailers comment and share their experience, and I just keep on growing. So that's just kind of my tip for anyone that's just getting started in detailing. So now that my entire interior is clean, I'm going to go through and clean all of the door jambs. Now, this is the very first time I'm using this product. Y'all have recommended ONR, Optimum No Rinse, saying that it's awesome for door jambs and it leaves a great shine. So I went ahead, I finally got myself some, and that's what I'm using right now. Now, true story, I'm going to just be honest with y'all. I don't know if I'm using this appropriately. I don't know if I'm using it the way I should be using it. But this is how I'm using it in this particular circumstance where I'm either spraying it onto the door jamb or onto a rag, and I'm wiping the entire door jamb clean because, quite honestly, they're really just not that dirty. Prior to the Optimum No Rinse, what I was using was a Super Clean, diluted 1 to 10. And if the door jambs were clean, I would just simply do it just like I'm doing here. Spray it onto the rag or spray it onto the door jamb, so long as there's no overspray, and just wipe it down. If they were super dirty, I would first power wash them very lightly, then spray on the product. Then I would use a detail brush to agitate. Then I would spray off with a pressure washer, and then I would wipe them down. You'll see in a quick second, there were some spots on these door jambs that just weren't coming clean, and I thought it was because of me. But I think they're just spots from whether it's hard water or I'm not quite sure what it was from, but they would just have to be buffed out to actually get removed. But it was unrelated to me. But anyways, it was making me question the product at first. But it looked great. The door jambs came out great and shiny. And so I'm just going through, finishing up all of the rest of the door jambs, cleaning the trunk jambs as well. Now, I noticed when I was cleaning the door jambs in the trunk, I accidentally forgot to clean this bit of the plastic back here. So I'm just going to go through real quick, scrub that up, and clean that off. There was a bit of sand kind of trapped in here, so I'm just going to go through with the detail brush and clean that out really quick as well. We're starting to see the light at the end of this tunnel in this detail. So before I go through and do windows or any UV protection, what I do is one final vacuum, because all of those hard surfaces that I cleaned, there was still some loose dust that ended up back down on these carpets. So I'm going to go through, make sure I clean up those real good, and then we'll move on. You can see in the backseat in this vehicle, these are just the little bits that get left over after you've done all the cleaning everywhere. So things fall onto the carpets, and that's why I always do just a second really quick final vacuum. Now, the owner of this vehicle made a specific point and said that the windows are very difficult for him to clean, especially the windshield. And he said that he knows, since he is a smoker, that windshield tends to get this smoky film on it, making it even more difficult to clean and see out of. So you bet your buns, I'm going to go through and take extra care to make sure these windows are crystal clear and streak free. Now, anytime a client mentions anything, whether it's, oh, I have this little spot on the headliner, or, oh, there's this little spot on the carpet, I take so much extra time to make sure I address that one thing, because that's what they're going to be paying the most attention to. Now I'm using multiple products here on these windows, and I'm also using a multi 3-step process. I have that entire video linked below for you guys. So go check that out if you haven't yet. But basically what you've got to do when you have really dirty windows is you got to first cut through that grease. So you need a product that's going to cut through that film, that dirt, the grease, like whatever grime is on those windows. Then I go through with my sprayway and I do a real good deep final cleaning with the sprayway. To make sure I avoid any overspray on my freshly cleaned interior, I'm spraying onto my rag and I'm spraying outside of the vehicle. So you don't want to get any splashes on that interior because they will show. This is also the time that I like to clean the rear view mirrors, the mirrors on the visors, and also the infotainment center. So anything that needs a little bit of glass like attention, this is the time that I do it. Now I'm at the point where I finally do my either gloss or UV protection or combo. In this particular case, this client does not want any shine left behind, so I'm going to use the 303 protectant. This is a great UV protectant, especially for a luxury car, and it's going to leave a nice matte finish. Another product I've been using lately that you guys have recommended is Chemical Guys VRP. That product's been great. You've said it's dilutable, but I have yet to go through and dilute it. I've been using it full strength. That one does leave a bit of a shine, but nothing too crazy, and I do really like it. But this client did not want any shine, so I wanted to make sure I did not leave any shine. Another product that I love is Superior Aqua Gloss. That one is also highly dilutable, and it is really cheap and really accessible. I don't know if anybody has any interest on where I get my products from, but if you do, just let me know, drop a comment, and I'll be happy to make a video letting you know where I get all of my products from and the wholesale discounts that I do get. These seats are not leather seats. A lot of times I will condition the seats if they're leather seats, but they're like leather, so I'm using the 303 on them, which is totally safe and will protect them as well. I would love to get my hands on a 2-in-1 product that cleans and protects all at the same time. And I know Shine Supply, I saw that they've got a product, so I'd be interested in giving that one a go. But for now, this is the process I'm using because I try to always just get through my products before I restock on them. Remember how I mentioned that my client was super concerned about the windows being clean? Due to the fact that he was so concerned, I'm going to make sure I go through and I clean the exterior of these windows as well, so that when he does go to drive his vehicle, inside and outside are super clean. So I'm paying a lot of attention and extra time to the interior and exteriors of these windows for him. The happier you can make your client, the more clients you're going to receive. We're on to the absolute final step, and that is tornadoring the floor mats. Now, these floor mats really aren't all that dirty. They have a tiny bit of sand and dirt kind of deeply embedded into them, but the best thing that I can do is to just air compress them out. So the little trick that I do, and I'll show you in a quick second, is I flip them upside down, and I use the Tornador to air compress them out that way. This way I don't have dust flying everywhere, and all of that dirt just goes right there, and then I can just blow it away without making a mess. So I just keep doing that until they come clean, and it really doesn't take all too long, especially when your floor mats aren't too dirty like this. Now, of course, the way that you clean the floor mats, or the way that I clean the floor mats, is very dependent on how dirty the floor mats are. Some days I do need to do a full pressure wash and clean and scrub and, you know, extraction on them, but just a little bit of dust, you can just blow the dirt away.
If you want to like post a picture of this on, you know, the Facebook page.
Yeah. Now, I found that as a newer detailer or a detailer in a brand new area, the first thing you got to do is just get the first client. From there, as you can hear in the conversation before, that client was more than happy to help spread the word of my business. And he was happy to post on Facebook and let more people know. And he actually came and got another card to give to his neighbor. So if you can just get that first or second client, the rest will just come via word of mouth. So the biggest thing to focus on is just getting the first client and just getting going. So I've put the floor mats back in the vehicle and we are officially done. This detail for me is typically $179, but I gave this client a 50% off detail. Reason being, when you're just getting started in a brand new market, sometimes you just got to get to getting. So I just was looking for 2 clients that I could give a 50% off detail to and get myself some YouTube content. And he volunteered his vehicle and he graciously paid us $120 for this entire interior detail. I hope the tips that I shared within this video were helpful for you guys. Drop a comment, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. I look forward to always bringing you great content, and we will see you next time.